So very recently, people started getting their GCSE exam results back. If you're not from America, GCSEs are the exams that you take between the ages of 15 and 16 in the UK. So what's that, like middle school-ish? And that determines what college you can go to, college being high school. I think most of you know that. I don't really want to make a video about what you should do if you didn't get the right results for you, etc. because I feel like I'm in a very privileged position where I get to say, oh, GCSE exam results don't matter. They don't determine your future. I think it's very, very arrogant for anyone who, I don't want to say famous, someone who is extremely successful from luck, like a YouTuber. I think it's very, 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 very arrogant for them to turn around and go, don't worry about it. Your exam results don't matter, because they would matter to you if you didn't get lucky on YouTube, wouldn't they? I did use my GCSE results to get me into college and to get me my first job. They are important. It is really, really disheartening if you don't get the results you wanted. I didn't get the results I wanted, and I still did pretty well. But there are options. You can retake things if you don't think you did well enough. I think you still can anyway. It's been 8 years since I left. There are definitely going to be alternative paths you can take to your goals in life. But I thought instead of focusing on that sort of thing, get into a massive ramble, I would just talk to you about my GCSE results, what I got when I was 16. So I'm pretty sure I got 1 A star, 5 A's, 4 B's, and 2 C's, I think. But I know I definitely got 1 A star, and that was in physics, believe it or not. And it was weird because I never showed any interest in wanting to study physics, didn't want to become a scientist in any shape or form. What was really great about that result is that when I first started studying physics in year 10, I was predicted to get an E, because in my first test, like pop quiz kind of thing, I got basically every question wrong. And I distinctly remember being 15, getting that E. I'd never got an E before in my life. I remember staying behind after class, like at the end of school, and just crying, just because it was like a massive shock to me that, hey ho, you're pretty bad at something. And my teacher, who was amazing, Mr. Harper, was a legend. He basically sat with me and said, look, it's not the end of the world. It's just a pop quiz. You haven't got your GCSEs for like a year. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna get you the result that you wanted. And he was just the best teacher. He would go through there is a man outside talking on his hands-free, and he just looks so weird. Like he's talking into one of those like little headset things, but he's doing like the hand motions walking down the street. He can't see you. I went from getting an E to an A star in like the span of a year, which just, I was shocked. I did find physics interesting though, because one of the topics was about radiation, and I love learning about disastrous things like Chernobyl, you know, about that whole nuclear disaster thing. That was like a big thing for our what do you call it? Curriculum! That's the word. That was like a big thing. So that came up on our test a lot, and that was a big strong point for me. Also, I'm sorry if my words are a bit crap. I have just woken up from a nap and I can't talk after I've had a nap. I get really... There was also some weird stuff about like convex and concave lenses. I don't care about telescopes. Go away with your telescopes. I got an A in both English literature and English language. English literature, I will be honest, I just did not care about. But I think the main topic of ours was 1984 by George Orwell, which I really, really love. We also read Animal Farm, but that wasn't part of our curriculum. Why did we read that? But because it was about 1984, I did quite well on it. We did like a massive essay on what happened when Winston did this, and why did George Orwell portray it in this way? I don't know. Go ask him. Sorry, it's always bugged me when it's like, what did the author mean by this? You mean in my opinion, right? Anyway, so English literature, great, did well, wonderful. Don't care. English language was the one that I really, really, really cared about, because this is more like creative writing, and this is back when I was like 15 and liked to write a lot of fan fiction. So I like the creative writing. Pretty sure I changed some band members' names and just submitted that and did pretty well on my coursework. So when I come out with a fiction book in a year's time or 2 years' time, don't be like, oh, it's a YouTuber trying to latch on, right? I can write the smut like the best of men. I don't know how this is going to come across, but in English language, I was top of the class. I got the highest marks out of everyone, and I was really, really, really smug about it. I was the teacher's pet. I was the favorite. I wrote the best stuff. I was the best. I was on the top table and no one liked me because of it. Sorry. So when I found out my results and that I was 1 mark off an A star, I was pretty mad. Like, what sadistic examiner just went, well, I could just make her life better and give her an A star and help her get into her college, or I could just, ruin her day. So I was really, really sad about it. But then I went on to college and studied English language, which was more about linguistics and how children speak. And I wanted to be a speech therapist for children. I wanted to get a doctorate in it. And this is genuine. I wanted to get a doctorate in linguistics. I'll talk about that in another video. Alas, I never went to uni, but I got an A at my A level at English language as well. I also got an A in maths. I don't know how, because to this day I still can't do long division. Someone who can't do long division, it just does not compute in my brain. Someone who can't do long division got an A. I always just found it really, really weird that they give you points for your working out. That's so weird. When you think about it in the context of anything else in the world. Anyway, I also went on to try and study that at A level, dropped it at AS level because I got a D and they showed me binomial expansion and I went, no. I also got an A in biology with my Scottish biology teacher, and I did not understand a word she said. She was lovely, but could not understand a word she said, even simple words. So when you had things like mitosis and mitochondria, but somehow I got an A. Can't remember what that was about. Chlorophyll, I think, something about plants. And I got an A in chemistry, and I do not know how, because if you ask me now to state the difference between an ionic bond and a covalent bond, I could not tell you. I know that argon is a noble gas, and electrons, if you've got too many electrons, it wants to jump to something that has less electrons to balance things out, and that's how things explode. That is my chemistry knowledge. I got an A. The system is corrupt. So moving on to my Bs. That sounds like I'm talking about my boobs. Moving on to the Bs. Our school was a technology school, so we had to take a technology as an option. My other 2 options were media studies and French. I think this was the only time in my education where I chose things I actually enjoyed rather than things I thought would be useful. I really, really wanted to do media studies, and I really, really, really loved French. And I got a B in both of them. My exam for media studies was about comedy, like the history of comedy, and I grew up watching loads of old comedy shows with my dad, so I did pretty well on that. Also, I will fully admit now, because it's 8 years on and I don't need my GCSE results anymore, I literally had the initials of comedy shows written on my hand, like DA, Dad's Army, or P for porridge, or whatever, just written there. And they just didn't see me. So I definitely did cheat, but it was an essay. So they're just talking points, okay? I did the rest. Judge me. I'm good at writing, not memorizing. Jeez, back off. My coursework, though, let me down because it was a project where I had to either create a magazine or create a band and do some media around this band thing. So me and my friend Michael came up with a band called True Company. Here are some pictures from my time in my fake band called True Company. We had to design an album with the inlay and the lyrics, etc., and do a fake magazine interview, I think. And it just didn't do that well. French, I've told this story before. I did really well in my writing. I did pretty well in my listening. Actually, no, I did pretty bad in my listening. The writing one, I did really, really well. The speaking, the oral exam, I made a video about this on my main channel. I cheated. I have cheated a lot. That's not even the last one I've cheated at. I've already told this story, but basically, they tried to record me speaking French. I did really, really bad at it. They found out that the tape didn't actually record. My teacher was like, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. How about we cut a deal? And she wrote down what I needed to say. So I got an A for that. So overall, it balanced out to a B, which I was kind of happy with. I wanted to take it at college, but I backed out at the last minute. And I'm glad I did, because apparently the teacher who taught French at college was horrid. I had my fair share of horrible teachers, and you can imagine what I was like with rude teachers, can't you? I also got a B in, this is going to surprise you, okay, because it still surprises me to this day. I got a B in physical education. How did I get a B in sports? I did nothing for the entire year. I sat out of every cross country. I made excuses about my PE kit every week. I just didn't do anything. There was a theory. I think that's where I did quite well. It was about muscles and stuff. You had to take an exam on like lactic acid and stuff. And I'm pretty good at that kind of factual stuff. But the actual physical stuff, probably how I got a B. Although it wasn't the higher tier. It was the lower tier. So maybe that was just easier? I don't know. Do they still have a higher and lower tier of GCSE? Is that still a thing? Let me know in the comments below, because it's been ages. I left in 2008, so. And my last B was in religious education. The nice thing about doing RE at my school was it was never about remembering things about the Bible or the Quran or the Torah. It was just it was like a philosophy class, really, morals and ethics, and we didn't even have to memorize things like the 5 pillars or anything. I can't specifically remember the questions in the exam, but it was just write an essay about what you think about this, and I did all right at it. I liked RE. It was good. I never had a problem with doing it. And finally, my C's. Like I said, we had to take a technology because we were a technology college. So I had 5 options. I had to take one of them. It was either graphic design, sewing, which they call textiles, I think, but it was sewing, food technology, just cooking, woodwork, and electronics, which was called systems and control, which sounded cool, so I chose that. You'd think I would have chosen graphic design or even cooking, because, oh man, I really honestly wish, looking back, that I'd chosen cooking. I really do. But me and my best friend Lisa were the only girls who chose to do electronics. We were soldering PCB boards, we were using the CAD machines, we were making little robots, and I hated it, and I sucked at it, and I got a C. And I only got a C because the kid next to me in exam hall was a boffin. Remember that word? Do they still use that? That was a really, really mean word at school. If you were a boff, he was sat next to me, and I could see over him and just copy his answers. So I cheated in, I think, 3 of my GCSE exams. I feel things were just easier back then. I don't know. People still write answers on the cards on the back of their calculators, or do they check them now? What are your ways of cheating? I know a few kids used to have headphones going up their sleeve and then wrapping around behind their ear, and they could listen to their pre-recorded answers and things to write down. And they used to be able to hide it with their hair. Unfortunately, I always have really short hair, and I was also way too chicken to do it. Also, I got a C in ICT, which is just computers, because I got majorly screwed over. My entire school year got screwed over with ICT. We had 3 different teachers. We were given this new kind of exam board thing that they'd never tested out before. Everyone got an E at their coursework because we all thought we were doing really, really great. Even the teacher was like, this is definitely what they'll want, and we all failed. I did really well in the exam. I got 103 out of 120, I think, but the coursework just dragged it right down, so it balanced to a C, which, sucked. I then took that at college and got a C because my teachers, again, were useless. Believe it or not, I do know how computers work. Shocking, I know, but I got a C at it because my teachers just didn't care in college, which was really sad. I also attempted, because I really, really wanted to, I attempted to take another extra GCSE. I attempted another option, which no one else was doing, but I really, really wanted to, and this was art. Looking back, I was really, really bad at art, but my teacher thought I was really good. I was not good. The topic for the entire year was buildings. So I had to go around London, take pictures of buildings like the Canary Wharf, which looking back, you probably can't do that now. And then I had to go home with a massive sketchbook and sketch them. Just hours and hours of drawing tiny windows. I gave up after about a month. And those are my GCSE results. So did any of them surprise you? Did any of them shock you? So anyway, this is quite a long video. Let me know about your GCSE results. Did you get what you wanted on your special day? Did you get more than you expected, or did you do really, really, really bad? Did it affect your college choices? Did it affect your job, etc.? Let me know. We'll have a discussion in the chat below. And I'll make a video about my A-levels another time because they are a different story. Oh dear.